right.
So yes, I am thrilled. And I think we're just gonna get better and better, and I think it's magical.
It is, and we're just putting it out there. It's like that one guy, we could even s well, whatever. It's like that one guy who I think his parents died, or he lived with his grandparents in New Hampshire somewhere in the '70s and '80s, and he
Unabomber?
it was similar but a different route, a different path, different journey. They let him take over their entire house. They lived in a like a small, like, little ranch house or whatever, but he got to turn the entire living room into a space communication machine.
What?
There's a
These are his
documentary.
grandparents?
Yeah, I think it was his grandparents. And they just since he was little, and then he got older and older, and the machine got bigger and bigger and more, and it took up their whole house, and he was communicating with space. And then there's a movie about it, and now I'm confused about how the ending is. I think in real life he disappeared, but maybe not.
Was he abducted by aliens?
Maybe. And so the point I'm making is his whole life's purpose was just sending things out into the the universe,
Well, you
not
think
expecting
about
to ever hear back.
that's what NASA is and the national laboratories, they're just sending out crap.
So that's what we're doing, but not.
It's a cute story. Was he, were they just trying to keep him from killing them or something?
He was weird. I remember he was, like, also hot,
Like hot, handsome?
like handsome for a '70s guy. John Shepard spent 30 years from his living room in rural Michigan trying to broadcast music. That's right, he sent music into space. He was a DJ for space.
He's like an early podcaster. Today, he'd be making money.
It started in 1971 using salvaged wholesale materials. He never made contact with aliens, but his story became the subject of an award-winning documentary.
That's what life is about. Like,
Yeah, we all want to
here,
communicate.
we're doing our private things.
Yeah, and we have something to share.
If I want to talk about, I don't know, if I want to knit all day, that's fine.
Right, that's communication. We just go where it takes us.
I know that Kevin he's like, wow. He's like, so Mary Burt, because he saw me do this with Bodil, like when Bodil was mad at me or Bodil was dead. He's like, so Mary Burt didn't want Sarah to think about her? And we're like, no. And we just show up and we both had the same feeling about her. Now I have a lot of love for her. Like, now I get it. But
yeah, and she has things. I feel like her daughter Patience, who we can start. Let's start with Patience today, should
okay.
we? So
All
we are
right.
talking about naughty women. Naughty.
Is it Lascivious Day?
Lascivious. That's just a hard word just for me to say.
I know. I think I'm saying it wrong, but yeah,
Lascivious Day.
lustful.
Are you ready though, or do you feel like you could talk about it?
I can talk about it. I can't because I was so, yeah. I can hang,
Okay.
and I have my research and stuff, so I think I can add to the conversation.
Okay. I'm just gonna tell you what I found, and then you tell me what you found. Lascivious women. And again, my source I'm using is Pynchon's court records, his diary on court records. That's what I used. And then I would deep dive into their this diagram, trying to
Let me
how
see
these
that.
women are all connected.
Oh, I
Right?
haven't seen this.
Oh.
Maybe you need to share the screen if you can.
Oh. Well,
Well,
yes.
we'll add that. I'll
Okay.
I'll place I'll mark
We'll
my
throw it out.
clip.
right
I'll mark
here.
my tip and I'll throw it up there.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I started with Henry Burt. So he's the dad. He's the big mucky muck. Remember, we were at church. Henry Burt is in the first row. He's not the deacon yet. Interesting, though, I found that he does become one at one point.
Oh, so
Yeah.
he really becomes the governor and the.
I don't think he
This
becomes
is Henry Burt.
Henry Burt.
Oh,
Yeah. So he is just the main. He keeps all the records for pension. I think writes down at each court, the witness testimony and things like that.
mm,
Anyway, so he's a very upstanding man that we kind of talked about. That makes a difference in a woman's life, right? And what happens to her if she messes up and has wicked acts. And so he's got 3 daughters, and this is Mary Burt. We're going to talk about you, Mary, today. But he's got 3 daughters: Abigail, born in 1623, Mary, born in 1635, and Elizabeth, born in 1638.
okay.
I feel like he has more than 3 daughters, but I didn't pay attention to
I
that.
do too, but they weren't lascivious.
Right. This is why Sid and Jenny will never have a podcast about but Elizabeth's older, Mary's the middle, Abigail's the younger one. Okay. So first, Abigail is the first one in 1641. So how old is she? 23. I hate all the math. She's 18. She's born in
Um,
1623, so in
yes,
1641.
and they arrived. Was she born in England then?
Yes.
Okay, so they
Well,
arrived.
I know Mary and Elizabeth were, so I'm assuming she was, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, they would have come what in 35 or 36?
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. So in 1641, this man named John Hobel comes into Springfield, and he found
Found him.
I did.
Sorry, I'm interrupting.
No, do it. But he's not that's all we get. We don't have anything. I couldn't find any future place he went. There's no family out there that's doing his research as far as I could find. He comes into Springfield, he falls in love. I would say they fell in love with Abigail, and she wants to marry him. I also feel like I can say that. He proposes marriage to her 3 times, and she says yes, but they didn't get the dad's permission. They
Was
asked the
he
dad.
not a free man or something?
I don't know.
Oh.
Why?
Oh, we don't know about him.
We don't know about him.
Okay.
I don't even know his age. Um, the only reason I know about him is because he's in the court record. That's it.
Okay.
So they're in love. I guess dot, dot, dot on that. I could dig for him a little bit deeper.
I'll
Um, so anyway, they ask her dad 3 times, and he says no 3 times. Not in the court. There's 2 offenses that they've done. It's just interesting.
And Abigail's in court, you said 1641?
In 41, she's in court.
Okay.
John Horbell was in court. But anyway, the 2 crimes are not just that they had sex and fornicated. Oh, sorry, I'm so wrong. Ah! Abigail. There's no proof that they had sex, but he offered to have sex with her,
Oh,
and
how nice.
they attempted to do the act. But no,
The whole town has to know this?
yeah, but no proof was known that the act was done. That's the court record. So he proposed. So the first crime is they got engaged without her dad's permission, and the second crime is they wanted to have sex, but looks like they didn't have sex. But the punishment was still both of them got whipped for that. And
Wow.
then he took off. So he left, they exiled people back in those days too. So he probably got exiled or left.
They did that a lot with the lascivious women too. They would exile them too.
Yes. So that was 1641 with John Hobel. So then 2 years later, nope, further than that, 1648. So she goes 7 years, 6 or 7 years before she gets to marry Francis Ball, and they have 2 kids, and then he dies in 1648. Oh, am I wrong?
Let me see if I can pull her up.
She married Francis Ball in 1644. Okay, so let me write that down. So 1644, she marries Francis Ball. That means she had 3 years of being sad, probably a grumpy, sad lady, teenager. That she didn't get to be with that guy, and
Um,
so yeah,
Probably put out to work in someone's house or something, like
maybe.
spinsterish.
Mhm. But then she ended up she was his, now I can tell you,
Okay.
she was his parents. Oh, she was the 3rd oldest daughter. She was the 2nd oldest daughter. There was a Sarah Burt born in 1621 and an Abigail. So he had 1, 2, 3, he had a little baby that died, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 daughters. Wow, he was a brave guy.
Wow, no wonder. Yeah, lots of daughters and always having to go to court.
Mhm. Yeah.
Poor Henry.
By the time Mary was having her drama, he had he had 8 daughters in his house. Okay, so Abigail then married Francis Ball. He's kind of a cool guy in the community. He gets into a little trouble, but he's there. So he's like your starter home. And then he died in 1648. So were only married 4 years. They had 2 kids. Then she got to marry Captain Benjamin Munn in 1649. And
3 husbands by 1649.
yeah, she had her lover John Hobel, Francis Ball, Benjamin Munn. He dies in the King Philip's War. I actually think he dies in Springfield because in October 1675, Springfield was attacked and ambushed, part of the King Philip's War. But then a lot of these other people died just out fighting in 1675. And then if you ever see anyone who died in 1704, that means they were most likely killed in the Deerfield massacre. So, which is interesting. So he died. She didn't have any kids with him. He was 51 years old. She was 26 years old when that marriage happened. So
No, she's not getting the young, handsome guys.
no, she's getting the established old,
Henry Burt's like, that's probably part of the punishment is you're gonna
probably, or just get her all settled in. So after he died in 1675, she gets to marry Thomas Stebbins. And they're close in age, yes. So she married Thomas Stebbins in 1676, so the year after they didn't have any kids. They're closer in age, and he died in 1683, she died in 1707, so they had a 6-year marriage, I guess?
she had a long life and
Yeah,
all wow.
and
Okay.
she got to marry some pretty old, like, the one was old, but the prominent dudes.
Are these guys all kinda Henry Burt's cronies?
Munn for sure was, yeah. Francis Ball wasn't. He was born in oh, yeah. He's born in 1599. Yes. So and she had to have 2 kids with him. If she's born in 1623, so he's 24 years older than her. So she goes from having her little romantic hottie ripped away from him, and then 3 years later or whatever, she marries this older 26-year older guy, like, in his 40s, which is what Mary happens with. Okay, interesting. Okay, Henry, he has a strategy for his
I mean,
lascivious
maybe it was that or she has to be a spinster or, he's got 8
yeah,
daughters he's gotta unload.
yes.
Okay.
So, alright, so that was Abigail. Um, then Mary rolls into the scene. She was born in 1635, and in 16
Does that mean she was born on the ship,
oh,
or the mom was pregnant when they came over?
maybe
I guess I
1635.
will research the ship. I don't know what ship they came on.
Mary was born in Haberton, Devon, England.
Uh,
It's on the 13th of April, 1635 in England. Um, then it just talks about her naughtiness.
wow.
Yeah. Okay, so and I'll skip up to Elizabeth. So Elizabeth, the older daughter, who I picture as just lovely,
Is
probably
Elizabeth
sentimental.
older than Abigail and Mary?
No, Elizabeth is younger than Mary. So there's
Oh,
Abigail, then Mary, then Elizabeth. But Elizabeth gets married first. She gets married in 1653, and she marries Samuel Wright Jr. So she's married to him in 1653. Then her hot older sister, Mary, has an affair with him, with her husband. So I would feel bad about that. I wouldn't want people talking about that.
how do you think that happened? How far apart are Mary and Elizabeth?
3 years apart in age. And then Elizabeth is married in 1653, and this affair thing is in court in 1655. I don't know how long. And I wanna see when Elizabeth had her first baby. Her first baby was born in oh, here we go. Yeah, it's all messed up right now, but I found it. Okay.
Okay.
So she had a son in 1654. So Elizabeth marries Samuel Wright Jr. in 1653, has a baby right away, which we could have just guessed, I guess. Names him Samuel. He's born in 1654. In 1655, Mary is in court suing Samuel Wright for entering her 3 times and fathering her child. So Elizabeth has a
Oh,
baby, and her husband's being brought into court by her dad and sister for fathering Mary's child, her sister's child.
can you imagine the drama?
It would be horrible. And I like to see the names of the kids because it's a message, and she doesn't ever have a daughter named Mary. She has a lot of sons, but she has a daughter named Elizabeth, daughter named Hannah, but she doesn't name any daughter Abigail or Mary or, you know, which they did sometimes.
They did, yeah.
Mhm.
And so Mary Burt was born in 1635.
Yes.
35, 50. So when she went to court, she was almost 20, right? Mary Burt?
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, so she was 16 or 17-ish when Elizabeth married him.
Married in 1653. Yeah. And,
Um,
and the years are goofy, but
so so after Mary sues him in 1655, do Elizabeth and Samuel just go away then?
I think they go away, and it might be
Okay.
Northampton, it might be Deerfield. It's wherever he gets slaughtered by the Indians in 1775. We had to research him too because where did he get slaughtered? Everybody just says killed by Indians, but
And he
we
doesn't show up in pensions records anymore, or I guess not.
let's see. Samuel Bright, John Stebbins, Thomas Gilbert. I guess he's not, so they must have moved somewhere, which I don't blame them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we could see where the babies were born, her babies. Cells, not of Samuel Wright. So, like, Benjamin Wright was born in Northampton, so they moved to Northampton.
Okay.
Okay, by the time their first baby was born in Springfield, second baby was born in 1657 in Northampton. So they moved to Northampton. Yeah, makes sense. Okay. So anyway, that's sad, but then you have to go. So that's terrible for Elizabeth. She stays married to Samuel Wright Jr. They have 8 kids. He's killed in 1775 by in battle or slaughter or something. And she must still love him because when you this name Benomi, Benomi, which you see a lot of boys
Oh,
named, means son of my sorrow. So if you're a
oh.
boy who's born the same, if the mother dies in childbirth and it's a son, that could be you might be named that. In this case, she had this baby right after Samuel was killed, and so she named that baby that. So that means she was sad. They made
That
peace
is
somehow.
fantastic research, Sarah.
I'm just trying to get into Elizabeth's
Wow.
mind that she didn't hate him. She moved, they had 8 kids, and then when he died, she was so sad she named her last child Son of My Sorrow. That's like the truth.
Well, I mean, who knows? Maybe Mary Burt was a little more lascivious than we thought. Like maybe
Mhm.
Elizabeth, or in Elizabeth's mind, she blamed her.
Yes, who knows? Right.
Yeah.
It could be a
However, she had
terrible.
to cope with it.
Right. And then after he died, she
Oh.
married a man named Nathaniel Dickinson, and she died in 1691. He died in 1710. No kids. So then they were married in 1684. So she went almost 9 years after Samuel was killed before she married someone again. So anyway, that's Elizabeth's story. She was not lascivious, but she was I won't say victim, but
It's
I
very,
guess victim of somebody.
I mean, Henry Burt must have thought Samuel Wright Jr. was an okay guy
Yeah,
because he married him.
yeah, and his dad is great. I mean, the Wright name in Springfield is a good name. All in that area, the Wright name is all over, and it's a good name. There's another Wright family that is different, but they're not as prominent as this Samuel Wright family.
Hmm. Okay. So
Yeah,
you've
so
got Abigail. Abigail was whipped, right?
Abigail was whipped for wrong and getting engaged incorrectly
Okay.
and talking hot and heavy, but no proof they actually
So
had.
her sisters would have seen that.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah, for sure,
Okay.
and seeing how her dad handled it and everything. So then Mary and Samuel, they're in court. It's Mary with her brother-in-law accusing him of fathering her child. That's in 1655, and this is we talked about this, the judge orders Samuel Wright now to pay for Mary's child. So not only is Samuel Wright paying for these 8 kids, well, by then it's 1,
Oh,
but
yeah.
eventually he's in charge of his 8 kids plus Remembrance, who is
Yes.
nowhere to be found on Family Search right now.
Really?
Mm-mm.
She's not anywhere.
I can't find her. Just going through
Hmm.
Mary, you know?
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting.
So, but she's real. We've found her before. She exists.
Yeah.
We've seen her.
Yeah.
So he's gotta pay for the child support. So both Mary and, okay, so the crime in the court was he fathered her for Samuel Wright Jr., fathered her illegitimate child. He's married, but he has sex with Mary Burt, the sister of his wife. And then Mary, she's single, and she's had sex with him at least 3 times. Those were her 2 crimes at first. So for those punishments, they're both ordered to be whipped 12 times. He has to pay child support plus find an apprenticeship for the child when the child's older. And the bond for him is 40 pounds, which is a ton.
Whoa.
So
Whoa.
it's rich. And his dad does get into, oh no, Mary's dad works it out with Roland or someone to work out the money side of it. So their parents can help them out, and the bond is the dads meet. There's a court record where the dads meet together to work out the money.
Wow.
Mhm. So But during like we talked about during this trial, it came out that she had also slept with Joseph Bond Shea, Shee, could be she, I guess. And that had happened. We don't know when, um, but it comes out in the court case that she had slept with Joseph Bond Shea. Again, he's who knows?
We
He
don't
falls
know
off
who
the
he is.
record. Yeah, he maybe was a servant too. We don't
Mhm.
know. He goes
Do you
away. He wasn't even at court that day, so
do
she
you
gets
think
whipped.
Elizabeth whispered that to Samuel's ear, like, "Bring up this,"
Yeah,
or
it came out in court. It says
oh,
that by through the process or whatever of this jury in the court that they found out she had also slept with this guy. So she's charged to be whipped for that, and she is not whipped for that. She pays the fine to get out of that. But
how
the
much was
punishment,
her fine?
her fine was, I don't know if I wrote that
Sorry, I'm
down.
putting you on the spot. I
10
feel
lakh
like it was 30 something.
shillings maybe. Usually
Yeah,
whipping you can pay out of it for a pretty low price. That's why I couldn't believe his bond was 40 pounds. I
I
can look.
know.
Page 230. I'll look
I
at it.
mean, I'm wondering how much land he could maybe he had to sacrifice his land there.
Maybe. Okay, so Samuel Wright Jr., Joseph Bonchet, likewise Samuel Wright and Thomas Stebbings entered into. So Samuel Wright Sr. and Thomas Stebbings, who's the county clerk, they had to work out the bond. Uh, I'm sorry, it's 4 pounds was the bond, which is still a lot. No, it's
That's a
40
lot.
pounds.
That's a ton. That's a ton, and you know what? That's like
Um,
the 10-cow wife, like, you know, Samuel hurt Henry Burt's reputation, his family, as both his daughters.
yes. So it is, it's 40 pounds if he doesn't
Wow.
take care of the kid and do the apprenticeship. So if he fails to do that, he
Okay,
has to pay 40 pounds. If he wants to get out of whipping, it's 4 pou no, he has to pay 4 pounds for the Mary thing, and she has to pay 30 shillings or get whipped.
okay, 30 shillings.
Yeah.
Okay,
So 30 shillings is kind of the going rate for whipping, I think, around
okay.
there. But 40 pounds, that's more than people's when you read their wills, that's like inheritance money.
Yes, because I think Miles Morgan died with not even I don't know,
9
I guess
pounds is a big deal.
yeah, that means he was basically paying that most of his life. Like, he and Elizabeth had or maybe you said the fathers helped out, maybe?
Yeah, or it was just a that's probably why they shipped him off. It's he would have to pay that if Samuel Wright bailed or didn't pay for the kid. It's a I don't think he had to pay it.
Right
It's if he
away.
failed to do it, then he had to pay it kinda thing.
Well, think about okay, it's unfortunate that Mary Burt has to have us talking about this hundreds of
Yeah,
years later,
sorry.
but if she hadn't have done this, she would be she would definitely be remembered as the sister that slept with her brother-in-law. Like like the court of descendants jury, if she hadn't have stood up for herself,
Yeah,
it would be just like something whispered about or something,
right. They
you
had to
know?
do it. I think they had to do it. I think they knew, like you said, that they're in a situation where they probably weren't ruined because Abigail, their family, obviously hadn't gotten ruined for that. He was still prominent.
Yeah.
And I
Is
don't think we were in the ruined age yet, right? We weren't Victorian, we weren't.
oh, that's true. That's true. You're right. You're right. We had to apply a different framework
Mhm, but it was
because
still something. It was still girls who didn't have this family security didn't end
yeah,
up as well, but it wasn't maybe because they were ruined, just there
and
wasn't
it
as
was probably more so what you're saying, not a morality issue, but a crime against the community fabric,
huge.
right?
Sure, because when you look at all the other things people are brought in for, they treat fornication just as seriously as breaking the Sabbath or saying
Oh, yeah.
saying God. Lord's name in vain.
You're right.
All this moral stuff is just equally offensive to God and the king.
Yeah. So, you know what? This is important because our responses are clearly come from a culture of Victorians and
Mhm.
prudish and but you're right. It was more a crime against the society
Right.
as a whole.
Yeah. And if you had the money to pay, because they were also a business, so they
Yeah.
were brilliant because if you mess up and you sin, well, okay, then pay. We have a way for you to be
There's repentance in the
repentant. Go to
prosperity
the Catholic.
gospel.
Yes, right. Pay pay 50, 30 shillings and you don't have to be whipped, and
Yeah.
hopefully that hurt enough. And so if you're poor and you can't pay that, then okay, well, now you have to be a servant, or who knows what's gonna happen to them.
Um, okay. So you mentioned Thomas Stebbins with Henry Burt making deals. Is that the same guy that will marry Abigail
That is
later on?
interesting. So Thomas Stebbins, that is interesting. Um, there's a Thomas Stebbins and there's a Thomas Stebbins Jr. Um, but this Thomas Stebbins at this time would have been not, because the Thomas Stebbins she gets to marry is more her age appropriate.
Oh, that's
So it
right.
would have been the son, yeah.
Okay. Wow.
But still, they're all mixed up,
Yeah. I mean, are these Henry Burt's 3 oldest daughters?
except for Sarah, who's the oldest.
Sarah's the oldest. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah,
Boy, teenagers these
I
days in
know.
Springfield.
She was smart to like, "I'm gonna make a lot of money. I'm gonna make nice with all the boys," and then, man,
Yeah.
it doesn't end. Then he has, he does have he sues a woman for,
Henry Burt
yeah,
sues?
he sues a woman in 1642. So this is, for his
Wow.
oldest daughter. So his oldest daughter and him are somehow molested by a woman named Judith Gregory. So the
Oh,
complaint is
she
that,
was a witch.
okay,
Let
how
me think about that. Keep going.
okay,
Wait.
well, this is okay, let me look up what page that is. Page 2
Wait, so this is their oldest daughter, Henry Burt's oldest daughter, Sarah.
in 42. So this is going
42.
predating the naughty predating
She would have to be very young.
yes, it was his little girl. Yes.
Oh.
And this lady for molesting him and his little girl, which I can't mean
Oh.
doesn't mean the same thing, is it? Right? Okay.
It must mean, bothering, or maybe she was trying to discipline her or something.
Maybe. So
Man.
1641 is when Abigail was trying to get permission to marry Hobel, and 1642, which we know could also mean 1641 or January 1641.
Wow, he had terrible time raising these
Yeah.
teenagers.
So he complains against Judith Gregory in an action of the case of breach of covenant in molesting him and his daughter, Sarah Burt. So that's the oldest daughter.
Wow. Do
So
you think, it was like a work situation? Like, he sent her to work at Judith's house?
maybe, how old would Sarah Burt have been? 1642. Maybe. There are cases like that where the girl tries to run off, and there's that one case that was really sad. It's later, but the daughter tries to run home from a place that because we have to remember, I guess we'll say this, that it wasn't just because you're a servant doesn't mean you're coming from a poor family or over the boat. It could mean you're coming from your neighbors. Like,
Right.
I could have my friends' kids come and be my servants, and I'll train them, and they swapped all the time.
That's how they I think that's how they dealt with teenage girls, because
Probably.
you send them to some, like, how we sometimes they threaten, like, "We're gonna send you to Aunt so and so's house, straighten you up." And I think, you know, if you're bratty, well, they weren't bratty either. It was just a way to probably get people out of the house
Yes, and they,
and train them.
and train them, and, um, I think it was to they were community. Some
Yeah,
kids got sent to different towns and things, but yeah, it was
yeah,
an employment work opportunity. They're big on educating their kids, so I could see why they would think it would be a good experience.
right.
Some of the boys got to go do apprenticeships for actual trades, right?
Yeah,
Not
yep,
just be the servant. But these
mm-mm.
girls that were sent to these homes as servants, the Ulrich, we talk about her all the time. We should put her
Yeah,
she has a whole section where she talks about how these girls were getting messed with and
that's
not
right,
often, were being messed with by either other servants or the masters of the home or the kids of the master of the home. And so
right.
there are cases where girls would try to run home from that and then get sent back.
Yeah, because, I mean, they're trying to teach them about, vows to the society, like, you agreed to go there, you've gotta stay there. Um, I mean, yeah, they're sleeping on the hearths and stuff, but you're right, they're not servants, you can't and basically evidenced by Henry Burt suing Judith Gregory,
Yes,
if it's what we're
if
thinking
it's
that
what we're thinking, right.
breach of covenant probably means maybe Judith said, "I'll pay Sarah this amount or I'll let her go at this time," or,
Yes.
um, but or she didn't teach her what she was supposed to teach
Mhm.
her. But molesting's kind of a means maybe she wasn't didn't do it in a nice way.
Yeah. Let me look up what molesting meant. I'll ask chat.
Yes. Thank you. Let me
What did
see
the word
here.
molesting mean in the 1600s in colonial America? To annoy or trouble was used in legal, religious, and civic rec to mean vex or harass for physically or verbally, disturb someone's property, trade, or religious worship, to interfere with lawful authority, or to attack. So it's not great, but it's not the thing we use the word for. Yeah.
So it had to have been something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting. So he's dealing with Sarah being upset with something with this neighbor lady, and he's dealing with Abigail, right? Who wants to marry John Horrible Bell.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
And then down the pipe comes Mary sleeping with his two daughters,
Yeah.
Elizabeth marrying a guy, then he's sleeping with this other sister, and then finds out she's with the Joseph Shambay, whatever, and yeah. Go ahead.
I mean, it is kind of like what we talked about last week when I look at I wonder if it was a privilege to be able to take people to court. You had to almost, because Henry Burt, all four of his let's see, three of his daughters, he had suits against other people for. You don't see that with maybe some of the guys in the 10th bench or the ninth bench, but
Well, it's interesting.
I
This is
could,
really
am I
interesting.
wrong?
Maybe a little bit,
Okay,
but I
good.
don't think you're wrong. This is what was weird. When the town is established and the court is he's made magistrate so they can have a court in Springfield.
Oh, okay.
The very first 10 cases are Pynchon suing people. Like, he gets the ball rolling
Really?
for little things, but he's bringing people to court for wrongs. So maybe he's so tired of maybe he's like, "Finally, there's a system I can tell that guy he needs to fix his gate," or, "Now
Yeah,
I can have a way to she owes me $2 to whatever," and so he was
yeah,
suing people, and then, he wasn't a deacon yet, but Chapin, just you see these prominent people starting the ball rolling on lawsuits, and then the smaller people start doing it too, um, not smaller, but you know what I mean. The people in the back rows are doing it too, and it heats up and the ball gets rolling and they're bringing them in for all kinds of things. The risk is that you are charged if you have a complaint and you lose, let's just like now, you have to pay the fee. So maybe if you didn't have that kind of money, you would be hesitant.
Yes.
So if you are the little, John bag bringing in, there's a guy they sued every minute, then you would John Wood, then you would hope that your case is good enough that you didn't have to pay or so.
Which brings up an interesting point because I love that you've done the data, that you kind of analyze the data a little bit because if you accuse someone of witchcraft, that risk was gone, right? You're not going to be fined well, no, that's not true because some people accused Parsons and other people for witchcraft. And then if they're judged that it's slander, then
Yeah,
you do have to pay.
so you could be a court yes, he
Okay.
has that where they're mixed, the records are put together where this is a complaint and then the counter complaint, and then there's just
Okay.
one. Yeah, so yeah,
So, yeah, that isn't a cheap way to get away with that then. They were oddly fair in really
yes.
weird ways. Like you're saying, fornication is at the same level as, you know
Slander's worse than fornication.
Yeah.
Slander's a bigger fine than fornication. In the
Wow.
beginning, it gets worse because there's a point that Pynchon finally is like, "This is everybody's basically sleeping together," you know? Like, "This is
Yeah.
happening a lot." And, then I think the fine gets bigger, but there's one case we'll talk about the next so Mary Burt does get to end up marrying an older guy after that, William Brooks, and they have
William Brooks.
kids, and they have a pretty good life, and
And do they live in Springfield or do they move somewhere else?
she's buried in Deerfield.
Oh, okay.
He's in Springfield at least through, um but then Springfield kind of got bigger. See, we have a thumbs up. What is that?
I don't know. That's not the Zoom then.
No.
Is that someone liking what we're doing?
No idea. Or maybe it's Riverside.
Let me see. No.
I don't know what that. Because once I got balloons.
Maybe it thinks you're winning.
I
Like
guess.
you're the best.
Yay!
You're the speaker.
Fornication.
Hooray, you read a book. Good job.
Okay, so what were we saying? Oh, where did they move to? He's in the records for a long time in
Okay.
Springfield. Even so,
Okay.
even all the way to the point where they have a daughter, right? They have a son, Jonathan, he's in trouble for being naughty, and they're still in
Oh, that's
Springfield.
right.
But what does happen to the court records is Pynchon does move a lot of pushes a lot of cases to the higher higher court or the more regional courts too.
Okay.
And so we start and then a lot of cases are sent to him from those places. So we start seeing people from Hampton, Northampton, Hadley, all these different towns that are coming here to have their cases. Or he's going to these other towns to do it. He's promoted and
So he's like a traveling magistrate almost.
yeah,
Okay.
and so yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. I think about that Colonial House show, that
Uh-huh.
kind of historic reenactment or whatever, that in the beginning you just got told you're going to be the governor and you're going to be the priest, and even if you're not really that guy, and it took the governor a while, like the modern guy that they the Colonial House, they go and they reenact for a year or something, being
Yeah,
the Plymouth colony or something like that. And um so they understand the history. They're kind of told these are the laws you need to and that you could enforce. And for the first little while, the new governor doesn't
mm-mm.
he's modern. He wants to make nice, but they start getting rowdy, like stealing the ale and not going to church and
Yeah,
all these little problems. And you start to see him start to enforce, and he brings out the letters and he brings out the stockade. And um so you can empathize a little bit with not empathize with that, but as a leader, you'd start I mean, I don't know. You've
Oh,
got
for sure. I mean, school teachers use this. So my
yes,
friend who's
that's
a
true.
school teacher says that the biggest mistake new teachers make is they start their school year being the cool teacher with,
Yep.
"I'm gonna be cool, I'm gonna be your friend, it's, la, la," and then
Mhm,
by the end of the year, she hates all the kids, and they all
mhm,
hate her, and so then the best way is to go in being the mean teacher, the strict teacher, and then by
mhm.
the end of the year, then you can kinda but, yeah, so
Yeah.
and remember, Pynchon is a businessman, he's not a lead he's his dream isn't to be the leader, he's just a his dream is to set up good trade in a town on a frontier, make a lot of money, keep people in order, and
You're right, and I like the work you've done on Pynchon because he is not what you it really is a company project. He really looks at it not as a experiment or building a new community or anything like that. It's he's there to trade. He's going to work with the Native American people if they can help him, with the
mhm,
Dutch if they can help him. You know,
and
he's
he's not, yeah, everything has a dollar value, even morality, you know?
yeah.
Everything is a commodity in trade and yeah.
And I can see just the little bit you see of Henry Burt navigating raising his teenage daughters by using the court system to sort of wrongs, and you can see he's a little more he's raising his family like a business. He's got 8 daughters in the
Yeah.
colonies that he's got to keep alive and got stuck with a bunch of assets and no sons.
Historically, it's always said that there are only 3 infidelity or whatever court cases in Springfield, but that's true technically. Those are the 3 cases that Pynchon tried. So we talked about 2 of them, Abigail and Mary.
Okay.
So the 3rd one is Sarah Clark, and
Okay.
John Clark is, front row well, he's not now, but he's, just a cool, strong family, a founder. And his daughter, Sarah Clark John Clark was born in 1608, died in 1673. His daughter, Sarah Clark, born in 1649, so she's younger than our Burt ladies,
Yeah.
and
Wow.
she is, so this is a little bit further down the road, but this is the only 3rd so when you hear Springfield only had 3 of these trials, this is the 3rd one, but it's not true.
Lascivious
Yes,
fornicating trial.
right.
Okay.
So we'll talk about her, and then I'll show you how I found out that's not actually true because they're not counting cases that were sent to him or that he shipped out. So
Oh,
there's a
awesome.
lot of sleeping around and lovey-dovey stuff going on in Springfield.
Okay. That's gonna help us understand their culture a little bit.
Mhm, and why they marry people, why certain families remarry into each other because there's bad blood with other families. So Sarah Clark is the daughter of John Clark, born in 1649. It's harvest time in the village. Beautiful time. The field, Kate Bush, the fields are burning.
If they were Danish, they'd have a maypole,
Yeah, that's right. It's a
I guess
very
that's May, that doesn't work.
yeah, but it's a sexy time
It is,
in yes, Springfield. And so I have to go back and forth.
because they're finally eating, and maybe they took a bath.
Yes, hopefully they took a bath. That is another thing. Do you know
Uh,
that the Agawam people couldn't stand when the English came when to deal with them because they stunk? Or the English settlers
I believe
smelled so
that.
bad, and the Agawam were like, "Okay."
Wow, I love that. So what year are we talking about?
1671, so we're skipping up a
Mm,
little bit, but we're talking about record. Mhm.
that's good. So this
So,
girl was how old?
Sarah Clark was good question. She was
22?
1649 she was born, so in 1670. So yeah, 20. Dang it. It's 20-ish. In the prime of her life. Okay, and this Richard Barnum was born in 1649. They're the same
Huh.
age. So they're both just in the prime of their life, and it's harvest time, and nobody finds out, and then she's halfway pregnant, and, um, uh, Thomas Stebbins. Oh, I have to tell this story the right way. Ooh, I wasn't planning on telling it this way, but I am. Okay, hold on. Sarah Clark, page 272. They have sex during the harvest. They have sex on the beginning of the harvest year during the reaping of the last English harvest at the beginning of reaping rye. And by the time they're found out, she's half gone with child. And the way I think people found out is Thomas Stebbing Jr., which now we know is the guy Abigail's
Abigail.
gonna marry. Thomas Stebbing Jr. But in 1671, Thomas Stebbing Jr. is fined 20 shillings because he made posters announcing the marriage of Sarah Clark and Richard Barnard before they announced it, before any of this was happening.
So he was, like, telling on him.
Yes, he made a big poster announcing their marriage, and then it had a poem that cast reproach upon the town and the maids in the town. So basically calling all the maids something bad, probably. Um, so yeah, he was punished for abusing the parents, the parties, profaning the Sabbath, casting reproach on the town and the maids together with other disorders. So he wrote some poem
Oh,
that
so Thomas Stebbings got in
Junior,
trouble
yes, for.
for
And I don't know if they were the same age, so I have a big question next to it, like, why did he do that? Was he in love with Sarah Clark? Are they,
Yeah.
you know,
And
did he just
did you read other people making posters in the
there
town?
no, there's only one other case where somebody's ripping, because you announce, so when someone's getting married, you do physically post it and to announce it. And there is one other case where somebody had ripped a sign down because was in love with them. There's a case where, he sued the girl and the dad because she had broken off their marriage because she was in love with Jonathan Bliss. So
Ooh, wow. Oh, wow, the
so
bliss.
anyway,
Okay,
so it's
okay.
found, so they're busted because this guy hung a poster up. So now they go to court and find out she's like she's what, 4.5 months pregnant, something. And that because they find out that they had carnal knowledge at the beginning of the harvest. So Richard Barnard, isn't a wealthy guy. He doesn't have a dad in town. He's put into jail because nobody can bond him out. And so
Oh,
he
wow.
is in jail. And then 6 days later, she comes into court and she's like, they will love each other. They want to get married. So they get him out of pension, releases him from jail, and sends him to get married right away. So that's Sarah Clark. So
And
fast.
like we were talking about, and that's that's the best case scenario for that situation, is
Right.
they let the couple get married, right? So
Yes.
nobody gets whipped or
And she's a prominent daughter. If Henry Burt's fancy, John Clark is probably fancier. So
oh,
Richard
okay.
Barnard must have been something, or maybe he's not. I don't know. They were married they had 6 kids together. He died in 1683. So Sarah Clark is now, how old is she? 1683. She's born in 1649. She's 38. She's in her 30s,
With
late
6
30s, with
kids.
6 kids.
Okay.
She's now known as Sarah Clark in the record. So this Harvard written book I'm reading didn't even put this together. They thought Sarah Barnard and Sarah Clark were 2 different cases, 2 different women. It's the same woman.
Oh, wow, Sarah.
She
Okay.
So she's a widow, and she starts sleeping with Richard Waite. And this is the case where Pynchon is like, "This is happening too much." So they're whipped, and they
And
get
she's a
married
30-year-old woman with her 6 kids have to watch her get whipped?
for sleeping with the Richard Waite guy. I don't know his age. He's kind of a mystery, or I haven't researched him very well. They don't have any kids, but they live out the rest of their life together. So she twice got in trouble like that in both. So interesting.
Wow.
Yes.
I mean, that's interesting that Thomas Stebbings Jr., when his own wife got whipped, if that's who we're thinking.
Right. Yeah, and his aunt. And we'll
Wow.
move to the next one, not just
Okay,
those. Well,
this
I'm
is
gonna
great.
I'll skip well, okay. So I was gonna hold off okay, yeah, we'll do this next. So and his cousin in 1680, 1671. So now we'll move to 1680. So Mary Burt, remember Mary, had to marry William Brooks. They had kids. They had a daughter named Patience, born in 1661. When she was 19, she got pregnant with a guy named Thomas Taylor. He is, a mystery too.
Are
We don't
they
know
in
his
Springfield?
yes, and I cannot find, um anything about where he comes from or he goes to. There's lots of Taylors, but he's kind of associated with a Mary Petty in 1687, maybe that's him, and that's often Hayden or somewhere else. But, anyways, she gets pregnant, 1661. There's a lawsuit, there's a court case. Brooks tries to sue Thomas Taylor, and, I don't write this down. Um, and then there is a baby that's born in 1680, and then she's just a ghost. She's gone. Like, we don't know what happens to her.
Baby's a ghost or patients?
Both. There is a death. There's no death record of her dying in 1680. We know she died before 1687 when William Brooks died because she's not in the will, but there's nothing about her. So she's just
Interesting.
this little 20-year-old got pregnant. She has the baby dies, and then she's also just nowhere in the records that I could find.
So so that fate, the other fate happens to her where the girl disappears from, probably blends back into her family
Yeah, or died, but there's
or
no death
died
record of her,
or got captured.
right? 1680, yeah, because the main capturing events were during the wars, that was happening often.
But how sad is Ann Burton alive during this when her daughter Patience?
It's Mary Burt.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
This is Mary
Mary's daughter has the same thing happen, and
and William
she
Brooks, who's the husband that married this unfortunate Mary and made a life with her, their oldest daughter doesn't get that. She doesn't get married off to someone.
and it's Patience isn't their oldest daughter, that's the tender thing. She's younger, she's like their little sweet, precious girl, I feel like.
Wow, that is
So
really, and Mary Burt is the same one who we know the daughter she had was Samuel Wright Jr. because she named her Remembrance, but yet her daughter Patience, the baby's gone and Patience is gone
Patience
from
is
the record.
gone. Mhm. So they had a sad thing happen.
So you've given us the all of the ramifications legally, all the case studies legally of what can happen to a girl that either gets raped or fornicates or whatever.
Yeah, there's one more,
Okay,
I'll tell you.
this is great.
'Cause remember Thomas Merrick that we are related to him.
We own him. We own him.
Okay, so
Thomas Merrick, who we talked about last week.
yes, and his
Okay.
wife is Sarah Stebbins.
Oh,
So he's married to a Stebbins again. And Miles Morgan and Prudence, who we're going to talk a lot about, have a son named Jonathan. He's born in 1646. We're going back and forth, but he's born in 1646. In 1674, Hannah Merrick goes to court to accuse him of getting her pregnant. So,
wow.
nothing happens. They aren't forced to get married together. I don't believe he's married. 1646, 1674, 46, 56, 50. Jonathan is 30 when she accuses him. I don't know if I looked to see if he was married or not. I know who she marries. She goes off. Oh, he marries Sarah Cooley.
Oh, the Coolies. Okay.
Yes. Okay,
Okay.
so that's what it is. So she accuses him of that. Nothing really comes of it. Um, I don't even know what the punishments were at this point.
Okay.
So, he marries Sarah Cooley. They have 7 kids. They live out their life together. Hannah Merrick in 1676, so 2 years later, marries a Benjamin Knowlton.
Mm.
He's about her same age, 6 kids. He dies in 1690. She's the one that hooks up with a guy 20 years younger than her then in
Oh, yeah.
I don't know the year. 1672. No kids, and they both died the same day, July. The same day in July
Uh,
in 1718.
okay.
So they lived 20 years together,
Interesting.
and it's scandalous. It's Matthew Crowfoot.
Okay.
So she ends up doing kind of a different she has a different ending, kind of a free spirit hooking up with a young dude spirit kind of ending for her with her 6 kids.
I almost would call that a widow's ending
Yeah.
because in a lot of the histories, the widow, once she's a widow, they start living large, like, because if you're awarded all his property and stuff, you don't have to get married again. And it is an interesting story, the widow's story, because, a lot of the witch trials they
Mm,
weren't, well, a lot of them were older women who,
mhm.
I guess maybe that's the problem. When you're older, you're younger, you're suspicious of being lascivious. When you're an old widow, you're gonna marry a younger guy, or you're gonna sleep with this guy, or you don't want a man, and then you're a witch.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know
and
why
that
I
is
brought
the
that up.
cycle. I mean, think about it. The true cycle of womanhood is the young maiden who is supposed to be a little bit lascivious, and then you're the mother, and then you're the crone, and the crone is always a bit wilder and freer and doesn't care. So she would go find a
Yeah.
a little hottie, or she would go in the woods and make potions, and she probably would speak her mind out and
Yeah, because when the perimenopause hits, they get grumpy. They call their husband a toad and a
yeah,
vermin.
and like the court cases for that. Okay, so then briefly, then I'll just go through some of the other women. I
Okay.
didn't wanna call them naughty women, but some of the other just really briefly cases that women were some women in this town that so there's Mary Towsley. I don't have the years for these. This is just a little brief. Mary Towsley took a pot from someone's house. I guess it was a fancy pot because they specifically said that this is a pot that you can only buy in Boston, and it tells how much it's worth. So it's like
No way.
my Le Creuset pot or whatever. She took it from someone's house, and then when they tried to come get it from her in the street, she basically beats up this man and his wife. So that's Mary Towsley.
Okay.
Miriam Merrick, who is
Mm,
Hannah's mom, um, is one of the women that Mary Parsons, when she was going through her witch trial, said, "Well, Hannah Merrick's a witch, right?" accused her of being a witch.
Okay.
Yes,
Is
and
this
that's
Hannah Bliss Parsons?
no, Hannah. Yeah, no, Hannah Hugh Parsons. Hannah troublemaker puff. Yes. So when Mary Parsons, Hugh Parsons' wife, when Mary and Hugh were going to jail, there were 2 other people who went also to jail, and one of them they're assuming was Hannah Merrick because Mary had pointed out her.
And
So
she is the widow.
Marian Merrick, sorry, Marian Merrick.
Okay,
Hannah's mom.
Hannah's mom.
Yeah.
Hannah's mom,
Right?
okay.
Is that right? I thought he was married to a
No,
Stephen.
that would make
Look at that.
sense. That makes sense, yeah.
Okay, so then there's a widow Horton who is Horton's a pretty it's in there a lot. Oh yeah, she's a nice lady. She's just kind of dumb. She sold her gun to one of the Agam
Oh,
tribesmen
no.
and got in big trouble. She's like, I didn't know that wasn't we weren't supposed to do that.
Sorta like when that other dude sold his liquor.
Yes, right. And that
Oh,
was one of the very first that Pynchon actually I think brought that up. It, that was one of the very first court cases in town. So that's the widow Horton. Judith Gregory, we already talked about for molesting, or Henry Burt and
mhm.
his daughter Sarah. The widow Bliss, Margaret Bliss, is all over the court records for complaining about everything. She complained that she didn't like the water going by her house. It was bugging her that goes to the mill. And so Pynchon had to send out Miles Morgan and these people to go try to fix the annoying water sound by her house.
Seriously? I like her.
I know. So she's and it makes sense. I think she's related to Sarah Bliss, who does get accused of witchcraft eventually, because people I think. I mean, they're both
Yeah,
Blisses, but
yeah.
yeah, so she's complaining everything. It's like Widow Bliss complains that, you know, someone's cow is in her yard, or just she's funny. And then the last one is Mary Burt comes up again with William for yelling at this kid, at Joseph Bedortha in 1670. So I had to look and see if he was involved in the patients, but that was
Yeah.
10 years before. So,
That Bedortha is a I hear that name a lot.
mhm,
So,
we'd have to
Mary
look it up.
Burt and complained about a kid.
Oh, Mary Burt and William Brooks yelled at this kid out in the middle of the street loudly
Really?
and accused them
For
like it
what?
would we don't know. I
Oh,
don't know. I mean, I could read it to you, maybe you have better ears for this than I do. Let me look up Burt, because that's the only time in the record that they're kinda causing trouble since the original whipping her anyway. Burt Brooks, sorry, it's Brooks, not Brooks.
well, yeah, they've got Patience in 1680, but then
Oh, yeah, so John Petty complains against blah, 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 blah.
oh,
Hold on, that's another one. Mary Brooks testifies. Okay, so here's another, like, good wife Hunter for offering to mischief his wife and giving her ill language, calling it as a testimony. So John Petty complains that this woman, good wife Hunter, was yelling at him. Mary
huh.
Brooks testifies that she did hear this woman yelling at him. And so this woman, good wife Hunter, was sentenced to be gagged or else set in a ducking stool and dipped in water. And
No!
she chose to be dipped in water.
She would rather be dipped in so she could yell at them all while they're dipping.
Well, it's even brattier. The pension's like, "You can choose. You can be gagged or you can get dipped in water." And she's like, "I don't care. You know, none of them pleases me." So, he picked, "Okay, fine, we'll gag you," which I think it's probably you get gagged and you're put on for, like, 2 hours or something.
Yeah.
He's like, "Okay, we'll gag you." She's like, "No, dip me in water." So
Is this before the what year was this?
It's the 1672.
Huh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow, they're still managing isn't that the heart of the King Philip's War?
Well, that's the interesting thing is that
I mean, they're still
all
managing to be mad about
and it gets worse, right? There's a frenzy that happens in
mm,
the years leading up to the King Philip's War. You know that they're attacked in October, so when you're reading things in the spring of that same year, things happening before, it's just it's like the
which is
records.
1672?
So were they it was October
Okay,
1675? Yeah.
okay.
So, yeah, so, like, 5 years before, and then it just speeds up, and there's more court cases, and they're more serious, and it's more fighting, lots of, not just the Agam Indians, but, there's the not the Issaquah, there's some different tribes, people that are being brought into court, there's tribes of people that are taking people to court, it just the front you can tell the tension is just crazy right now, which
Wow.
is interesting because that's also kind of when and the just on the planet or just with these people within these people's realm.
'Kay.
England is crazy right now, um, the colonial with the tribes around them are crazy, the tribes with themselves are crazy, and then you read about what's happening in Canada with the French and the Jesuit priests, and they're trying to convert and then they're having their energies all messed up. It's just a super
That is yeah, because up on the fort, on the hill, the Agawam, fort up there, the Agawam people, you could fit 400 people
Mhm.
in that fort, and they're up there. They're mad.
They're mad, very mad,
So
yes.
there's a lot of tension going on,
And
but this is what they yeah, interesting.
not only are they mad, they're getting, uh, people representation from other tribes that are mad and have a plan are
Yes,
coming to them and trying to get them.
yeah.
And then on the other side, different people in different colonial groups are making plans, for preemptive attacks on the Nauset people that are wanting to remain neutral, and it's just,
Ugh,
and I didn't realize. I will say this, and I think we'll do this in a different but I didn't realize that, yes, the English settlers wanted a business, they wanted a good community, and they also absolutely wanted to baptize and convert the native nations, the tribes, and that was
I forget about that part.
yeah,
Yeah,
and they were very aware that the French up north were just as equally adamant about doing the exact same thing, only it was the Catholic religion. So you had the Protestant and Catholic thing going on here too, and it's the Jesuit priests. And I told you, I can't remember if we talked about this in the work meeting, but the way that their strategies were different. So the English Protestant way, everything's a commodity, right? Religion's a commodity, everything's a commodity, including people. So they would take prisoners of people, and then the French and it was the Mohawks and Mohegans and the Iroquois, and those tribes up there, same philosophy, and they would take people also.
mhm,
The French and the Catholic, and there's no noble way to kidnap people, there's no noble thing,
yeah,
but, either way. But they had different ways of doing it. So the Northern Catholic Mohawks took women and children mainly. They did take men, they wouldn't take young babies because they couldn't make the walks, but they took women and children. That's the majority of their prisoners were women and children. The
mhm,
children grew up, a lot of them stayed and loved it, a lot of them converted to Catholicism.
mhm.
The, English, they took prisoners, but they took commanders and ship captains and officers and people that they deemed as valuable, so that
Interesting.
way, when it was time to trade back the prisoners, they would be like, "Well, this admiral or this ship captain is certainly worth 20 women and children," you know? So
Wow.
and the especially the Mohawks didn't see it that way. They had the morning wars, which did I talk about this in the
You briefly mentioned it, and so yeah, let's
in
go
the other
there.
podcast or
But,
okay, I'll just
um,
say it again.
yeah, talk about that. That's really
So
important.
they had morning wars. So
These are the
after a
Mohawks.
battle, yeah, the Mohawks, after a battle with a different tribe or whatever, if when you lost family, when you lost members of your community, you had a different war now where you went out and found people to replace those people. You lost a
Wow.
child, you could ask for another child. If you lost a
Mhm,
husband, you could get a husband. If you lost a wife. So a lot of their prisoners were replacement people. So they weren't going to hurt them. They weren't necessarily turning them into slaves. They weren't really
mhm,
looking at them as trading pieces or, you know, they
mhm.
were trying to fulfill and convert them, and it worked for a lot of them. So, anyway, it was just really interesting. That was already happening before the 1675. You knew that if you got lost in the woods, if your son got lost in the woods, he's probably gone, you
Wow.
know,
Yeah,
or been taken, and just
yeah,
the energy and the different philosophies going on you yourself, your kid is a commodity, you know? It was just
yeah.
so
Y Yeah, I mean, you're like the beaver pelts passing hands.
yes, really, truly.
But it's interesting that idea of the morning wars that, what was valuable, you're replacing people you lost in your community as opposed to a captain or
Mhm.
um, you see what they value, really.
Yeah, the women and children were more valuable than that was the value. Those are the precious commodities, not the ship cap
Wow.
and so when it came time to trade, they had it back because they would, because that was part of the plan, a ransom or a trading back for the British. And even the French totally didn't agree with the way the Mohawks were doing it, but they were allied with them. And, when it came back to trade back, it was so confusing because the British couldn't and the French couldn't understand why, like, just a 5 kids for 1 guy, it's a great deal, you know, and the Mohawks were like, "We love these 5 kids now, and they're part of our tribe," and blah, blah, blah. So,
Oh,
it's just interesting.
that says a lot about how that clash of cultures and the clash of, justice and what was valued and what wasn't, and how, you know, the the beaver pelt thing always gets me, that the motivation for that was fashion and the hats over in England, and yet you've got native peoples losing their lands, and the stakes were of what they valued were higher than were different, you know? It's so, yeah.
Yeah. So we are going to have an episode more on that, but I just thought it was interesting that the frenzy that was happening with these people before all of that started and even in the way Pynchon would dole out fines and payments kinda shifted when he saw and what was happening, and there was a big riot that happened right before where the free men were rioting. There's some voting suppression thing that was happening. It was just all brewing. So,
And you can see that in, we just talked about if your son goes in the woods, he could be gone. The stakes are really high, but then we have Goodwife Hunter who pensions marking down, I'll gag you or I'll dunk you. He's still got I mean, all these little
yes.
tensions and
Yeah.
trying to make sense of this crazy world.
Yeah. It's and then it's just he's trying to keep orders, trying to figure out who gets to sell the beer. It's just it's like a just giant crazy family. I don't know.
It's a place I don't know I'd wanna be in.
I don't know.
Like
That's
like
what I wanna talk about is why they what was the w like, in an episode, we talk about the good part, what the homes were were they beautiful? Did they pick flowers and put them on their table, and were they happy sometimes? They had to have been. Life isn't like that, right?
no, I mean, They weren't there to I mean, they didn't go there to be well, some of them were there to be punished, like when
Right.
Britain exiled them. I don't I have a hard time it's just so different for me to think about when I think about home, I think of a family that, I would feel safe with or I'd wanna in this big world or you but they don't I don't know. They're different.
They're different.
Very different.
And
Yeah.
we did just kind of talk about 2 different generations. So the founding people were more had that fresh stream in their mind, and then their kids turned into teenagers, and that shifted a little bit, and re re you know, I'm sure they were questioning a lot of things. That's when they've created the halfway covenant where you didn't have to do everything to be a member of the church.
Really?
The halfway covenant, I don't have it with me, but used to be you had to do all the steps to become baptized or part well, not baptized, that's the whole point. To be part of the church, you would be baptized, you'd confess your sins, you'd go through the spiritual study, and then you could be if you were approved, then you could be officially a member of the church. But then about this time, they made the halfway covenant or law where you could get baptized, but then you didn't have to do all the other steps until later. So they fast tracked church membership.
'Cause they needed more they probably needed you to be bound to the community so you could be in the militia.
Yes, that was another thing. Yes, right. They used the militia and the garrison to keep
Yeah.
them in there. Yeah.
So their society was becoming it's interesting, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, it that's interesting because that's something we can get into is the idea of, they had a problem understanding what women were anymore, during the King Philip's War. Because, like, this book is The Virtuous and Violent Women of 17th
That's
Century.
awesome.
They were the women bad things happened to everybody, they were doing bad things, and the women were violent, they were more manlike, and they weren't sure how to decide, "Is this still a virtuous woman, or is this they were so you can start to see in this little cauldron boiling how the witch trials were expressed 20 years down the road, and you can see the violence all comes back on each other, and you've got traumatized people that were captured, and, like you talked about the Salem trials, the little Mercy, the abuse she had suffered,
Mercy
and
Lewis, yeah.
so all this stuff becomes expressed, I think,
Mhm.
in Salem, which is why we all think about it so much.
Yeah, this is all leading up to they call it whatever it is, mental illness, whatever trauma, and you ask, "Well, how?" And look at this. Look what they're traumatizing themselves through suing
Mhm.
each other over everything. You're being watched all the time. There's one, I didn't write it down. There's a husband who our guy, a Stebbings guy, I think, saw through the window people playing cards and brought him to court, and they all got questioned, and the husband of the home they're like, "Do you have cards?" "Yes." "Do you play cards?" "Yes, but only to keep my wife from the melancholy, to keep her out of depression." They
Oh.
all got in trouble, they got fined and everything, but it's because someone had walked past their house and looked in and seen and saw that they were playing cards. She tried to lie about it, and they brought in some witness from Dorchester, some faraway place to
Mhm.
testify that they'd seen her play cards in her life before. Just everybody knows your business. You got
Yeah.
people hanging up posters of
Yes.
it's just
Yes, it's like if you had to live at your junior high, and you
yeah.
had Mean Girls, and you had
Mhm. So no wonder that they probably found a lot of release and power in those witch trials.
yeah,
Sure.
yep, a lot. I mean, and that's like that steam valve we were talking
Mhm.
about, a way to release the tensions.
Yeah.
It's a brutal, it's a crazy world.
Yeah. But there has to be something. they loved their kids, or it wouldn't hurt so bad when they died.
Right.
They I don't know.
And we could get into what their lives would have been in England, because you can look and say, okay, well, the alternative was this
Yeah,
scratching out your existence, or we would never know your name if you were a woman in England at this time. So,
right. And do you wanna be digging coal in Wales, or do you wanna be out tromping through the woods, you know? So,
yeah,
okay,
I
well, good.
love, thank you for doing that. Thank you for kind of digging into these things they were getting in trouble for, and all our women.
Yeah. There's a lot. I was gonna name, so we have the Abigail, Mary, and Sarah, those are the 3. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 other, uh, whatever. What's the word?
Infanticide? No,
No,
lasciviousness.
lasciviousness, evil
Okay.
doing, sex, premarital sex cases that happen. So, when they say there was only 3, really, there's, like, 13, 14. 'Cause one is a man and his wife and another woman that got brought in. And then I can't read anything more about that. I can't find anything about what that means or
Well, and you can see those incidents becoming turned into our grandpa with the witches on his chest. You start seeing they're explaining that on everything. The lasciviousness becomes the work of the devil, and
right?
so,
Yes.
yeah.
Interesting.
I'm
Alright.
glad I'm leaving here today and I
I
could go to
know.
Target if I wanted.
Uh-huh. I can play cards.
We could play cards. What else could we do?
We could hang
Well,
up
we can't
funny
do some
no.
of these
We
things.
could do poems. I could I probably couldn't steal someone's pot, but
No.
I could speak my mind.
Yeah.
I could be
Yes.
grumpy.
You could choose to be gagged or dunked.
Mhm. I probably
Yeah.
could sell a gun to someone if I wanted, maybe.
Yeah, or liquor.
Yep. So it's just funny. It's funny, I don't know, just, back to how unfair some things were too, that Margaret Bliss widow complained of everything, would have so been called a witch so
Yes.
fast, and she
I
never
mean,
was.
you're right, because reading these trials, you're scared for these women that
Mhm.
have these reputations in their towns as a troublesome, because they do become the witches later on in 20 years, or 15 or 20 years. Yep. Okay, well, thank you. All right. Good job, Sarah. Thanks for
Oh,
leading all
great.
that. We covered a lot of girls today and
Yes, you
very
did.
interesting information.
So now do
Okay.
you wanna talk about I don't know, let's see where the wind takes us on
Yeah,
that.
let's see where our research takes us.
Okay.
I'm still heading yeah, let's see what happens. Because
Okay.
we're working our way.
We are. We're getting to the King Philip's War. We're getting to the witch trials.
We can start talking about their belief systems, that like the Agawan versus
Oh, I
their
love
kind of folklore and their beliefs. We could think about that.
a
So,
good way to do it could be where we do compare what we know of the society, the history of the Agam and the Nasset and the Nipmuc and
yeah,
all those tribes, Wampanoag, all the tribes that are around there, how their history, I think we can find out a little bit about their treaties. And then, yes, the influence of the Catholic and the Protestant come in effect.
I
'Cause
think we're ready to do that.
yeah, I think so too. And
Okay.
then we should do that before we talk about the King Philip's War. We'll want to talk about, there's that book the woman wrote who was captive,
We have to talk about the captive narratives.
yes,
Yeah. Because
yeah,
yeah.
pretty fascinating.
Okay.
And
So
we learn a lot about the tribes too. through their narrative. So, okay,
Okay, yeah, that's right. All right.
congrats.
Well, good. We're doing this.
I know.
Okay,
Okay,
congratulations.
high five, balloons. Okay, all right, love
All right,
you.
love you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.